Good evening, this is BBC Newsline. The headlines. Widespread condemnation of the placing of a replica mosque on a bonfire in County Tyrone. The organisers say it's an expression of their human rights.
Everybody I know is completely shocked and saddened, and there is a fear there as well.
They need to ask the bonfire builders, ask communities, ask people, what's your concerns? And people can't really disagree with their concerns.
Former senior police officer Jim Gamble is appointed by the DUP to lead a party review following Jeffrey Donaldson's child sex abuse convictions. The former Antrim Arms Hotel in Ballycastle is demolished despite a preservation order. An investigation is launched.
It's actually quite shocking that it was just all of a sudden. No one really knew what was happening, and then we come down here to work this morning and it's gone.
Just what could any increase in university tuition fees mean for student loan repayments? How beachgoers can help track our changing coastlines with their mobile phones.
And temperatures climbed to the mid-20s again today, and it's set to continue this weekend and through much of next week. I'll have the full forecast shortly.
Hello and welcome to the programme this Thursday, the 9th of July. There's been condemnation of the placing of a replica of a mosque on top of a bonfire in Moygashel in County Tyrone. Police have arrested a 56-year-old man on suspicion of displaying threatening, abusive or insulting material. The bonfire organisers say it's an expression of their human rights. Justice Minister Naomi Long has called it a nauseating spectacle of hatred and a warning. This report includes pictures which you may find offensive. Here's our Mid-Ulster reporter, Niall Bacracken.
Moygashel is a small village on the outskirts of Dungannon in County Tyrone. In recent years, the annual 12th of July bonfire has become known for its contentious displays. This year has been no different. As of last night, a replica of a mosque was put on top of the bonfire. It also has signs saying, "Secure our borders and end the threat of radical Islam." It has left many in a sense of shock, including Michael McGoldrick from First Steps Women's Centre. It is a group that represent a number of women from migrant communities, including those from a Muslim background who live in County Tyrone.
Disbelief. I actually thought it was AI generated or something like that. I was shocked. My heart goes out to all the people that live in this area, that everybody I know is completely shocked and saddened, and there is a fear there as well.
There has been widespread condemnation from a number of groups like Amnesty International, as well as a number of political parties.
This is not an expression of views, this is an expression of hatred, plain and simple, and we should call it out for what it is. I think unionist politicians do need to speak up, do need to engage on this issue, and do need to make it clear that it's not acceptable. Well, it should be removed, that's very clear. This should not be allowed to happen year on year, and there needs to be action in that regard.
What has been put on top of the bonfire is an absolutely nauseating spectacle of hatred. If this is how you want to reflect your community, you need to look long and hard at yourself in the mirror. This is not who we want to be. It's not how we want to be seen. And when these pictures go, as they undoubtedly will, across the international community, it will impact Northern Ireland's reputation in a way that is wholly damaging.
In a statement, the DUP said that July bonfires should be positive cultural celebrations, but added that the placing of flags, effigies or other items on bonfires should not take place. Meanwhile, Ron McDowell from the Traditional Unionist Voice said he did not condone the mosque effigy, but he also would not call for it to be removed.
They are genuine concerns. They're the main concerns that I would hear on a 9 to 5 basis representing the people. Now, I'm not going to pretend that the image of a burning mosque is a soft image. It's not. It's a hard image, and it's one that I wouldn't have used. But the message, I think, is clear, and people are conflating the imagery with the message, and they need to ask the bonfire builders, ask communities, ask people, what's your concerns? And people can't really disagree with their concerns.
This isn't the first time the Moygashel bonfire has caused controversy. In 2023, a picture of the then Taoiseach Leo Varadkar and an Irish flag was placed on the bonfire. In 2024, a replica of a police car was burnt, while last year an effigy of refugees in a boat was placed on top of the bonfire. This year, the ripple effects of the Moygashel bonfire are also being felt beyond County Tyrone.
For Muslims, and especially the ones particularly living in loyalist areas at the moment, seeing a replica mosque on top of a bonfire is deeply distressing. Are we welcome? Is the sentiment that I'm getting? Are we safe to be here? Can we send our children still in school? Obviously, we've got the summer holidays now. The kids want to be out playing. Is it all right for the kids to be outside playing?
In a statement, the Moygashel Bonfire Association said, "We have noted the predictable fury in respect of the act of political protest at our bonfire site. Our display may shock, offend or outrage, but it is an exercise in our rights." The Moygashel bonfire is due to be lit tomorrow night. Niall McCracken, BBC Newsline.
Well, our crime and justice correspondent Julian O'Neill is with me now. Julian, what have the police been saying?
The police now consider Moygashel to have become something of a hotspot of politically motivated protest action. This is a bonfire which has a track record. The police had anticipated something of this nature happening. That said, the use of a replica of a mosque has been described to me as something which is abhorrent and unprecedented and a tipping point in terms of a criminal offence and what has been seen on bonfires previously. Now, the police are considering their next steps while they continue a criminal investigation. There had been an increased police presence in the area. However, that did not stop this incident happening. It's been suggested to me that members of the community were monitoring police patrols in the area, and they took the opportunity to put this replica of a mosque on the bonfire when officers were absent.
Julian, you say police are considering their next steps. What might that mean? I
think the PSNI are very, very mindful of how this looks. And by that, I think they mean the burning or potential burning of a replica of a mosque, especially coming so soon after recent racially motivated violence. The counterbalance to that, I think, would be likely a consideration of whether any police action would escalate tensions, not just in Moygashel, but at other bonfire sites. A senior police source I was talking to me said that this is not about the police being anti-loyalist culture. This issue is squarely about what is on this bonfire.
Gillian O'Neill, thank you. Now, the bonfire in Moygashel is just one of hundreds that will be lit across Northern Ireland over the weekend. In Bangor, the housing executive has offered to install wooden boards to help protect a number of private homes near a bonfire in the city. There have been complaints about the cost of trying to make some houses safe. Our community correspondent Mark Simpson reports.
All of the houses surrounding this bonfire have been provided with wood to put over windows to protect them from the heat. But residents were told in a letter last week that only housing executive properties would have the wood installed. The bonfire is on housing executive land. One private homeowner complained, saying it would cost him almost £800. And now the housing executive has agreed to step in.
They are going to board the windows up. I'm delighted that that's there. But I think probably the next part of this is everybody's house going to be done? Or is it just mine because I've spoken out and made a bit of a ruckus?
A disabled man who also lives in a private house near the bonfire asked if the housing executive were going to help him. In a statement, they said, "We can confirm we have received this request and we will attempt to make similar arrangements." It's not the only bonfire where safety measures are in place. Here at Orangefield Park in East Belfast, the bonfire has been built far away from any houses, but it is close to some lampposts, so protective measures have been taken. Like most bonfires, it's due to be lit on the 11th night, which is Saturday evening.
I mean, we're not here to antagonise anyone or offend anyone. We're just here to enjoy our culture. It's always been here and everyone's welcome.
Bonfires are part of the landscape in some places year after year, but there have been some changes.
30 years ago, bonfires were synonymous with paramilitary shows of strength, public disorder. Now, across Northern Ireland, we're in a slightly different place. You know, you're talking maybe 280, 300 bonfires per year, and most of them, by and large, pass off without incident.
There's been a lot of research done into bonfires in recent years, and it's clear there's more work to be done. Mark Simpson, BBC Newsline.
Jim Gamble, who formerly headed up the Child Exploitation and Online Protection Centre, has been commissioned to lead an independent review for the DUP over Jeffrey Donaldson's actions. It follows a crisis sparked after the former DUP leader's conviction for child sex offences last month. Well, our political correspondent, Jane McCormick, is here with more details. Jane, this confirmation came just a few hours ago.
Yes, by statement this afternoon. Lindsay, now it's almost 2 weeks since the DUP announced it would establish this review to investigate Donaldson's 2 decades in the party. Now it has confirmed that the INEQE safeguarding group will take on this work, led by child protection expert Jim Gamble. Now, he is a well-known figure by many here. He is a former senior police officer, as you say. Earlier this year, he was also appointed to lead an external review of the Presbyterian Church in Ireland's governance and safeguarding arrangements. Now, the DUP said they wanted somebody with expertise and impeccable credentials. Mr. Gamble clearly has those in this area. It's taken a bit of time to reach agreement on announcing him, but now we know he will head up a specialist multidisciplinary team within this organisation to carry out the work.
And just what are the terms of reference here?
Terms of reference are important in light of the allegations about Donaldson's behaviour aired by Spotlight and the Belfast Telegraph, which have raised potential questions about what senior DUP members may have been aware of. So key will be establishing who knew, when and how did they know it, who did they learn it from, and crucially, was it acted upon? There will also be an independent and confidential facility for party members to come forward with information or experiences they had relating to Donaldson during his time in the DUP. And then the ultimate process will be for this group to report back and provide recommendations to the DUP. And we know there will be a website set up as well, which will provide more detail on this.
And Jane, how long then is the work expected to take?
Well, the DUP leader Gavin Robinson said previously he thought it could take about 12 weeks for this. Now, it could, of course, take longer depending on how many people come forward with information. Crucially, then, once it's complete, will we see it published? The DUP, Lindsay, has also said today they don't intend to provide a running commentary during this time in order, they said, to protect the independence of the review.
Jane McCormick, thank you. Still to come on the programme, the best visitor numbers in the Northwest since records began. We find out what's bringing them in.
I love this place and the country, the sun, all the people, so beautiful.
Now, a council investigation is underway after a 300-year-old building in Ballycastle was demolished overnight. It comes after an application to demolish the listed building, which was once the Antrim Arms Hotel, was refused last year. The Causeway Coast and Glens Borough Council said it would examine whether the demolition was in line with proposals submitted by the owner. Our reporter, Michael Fitzpatrick, has this.
This is all that remains of the Antrim Arms Hotel in the centre of Ballycastle. Work to demolish the derelict building, part of which dates back to the 1760s, began late last night. Its destruction comes a year after an application to demolish it was refused. The property had been cordoned off over fears about its structural integrity.
It's actually quite shocking that it was just all of a sudden. No one really knew what was happening, and then we come down here to work this morning and it's gone. Last night I drove past and it was still erect, and then now today we're driving past it, it's rubble. And the digger's going, but it's been apparently going on for a few hours now.
I think the whole town is in shock that this happened in the dead of night. Nobody expected it. Obviously we knew that there may be a partial demolition. We were informed of that, but nobody expected a full demolition of a listed building in a historic part of a very beautiful town.
Causeway Coast and Glens Council has said it is investigating whether the demolition of this listed building was legal. They added that officials are due to visit the site today and are currently assessing whether the substantial demolition was in line with proposals submitted by the owner. In April, a family living next to the hotel was forced to flee their home after the building was damaged in an arson attack. A local councillor says a recent report found the structure posed the utmost danger to the public.
When council is left with a decision, it's quite obvious what that decision had to be. Whenever there's a structural dangerous notice on this building, that the council had to take decisive action, and that's what's happened. Now, we do see today the entire demolition of the anthem arms, and that's not what people wanted to see, and that's not what had been agreed.
An organisation which campaigns to protect and preserve historic buildings has said it's deeply disappointed.
Most people have really no idea about heritage buildings, except you don't know what you've got till it's gone. And then if a shiny new apartment block is put up, that'll be the first toe in the door to Ballycastle becoming Portrush or Portstewart.
BBC News NI has contacted the owner of the building for an official response. Michael Fitzpatrick, BBC Newsline, Ballycastle.
University students would face no additional payments if student fees were increased. That's according to a submission from Ulster University to a Westminster committee of MPs. The university said it was unhelpful and unrealistic to suggest a rise in tuition fees would lead to students having to pay back more. Our education correspondent Robbie Meredith has this.
Fitness is Michael Doherty's business as a personal trainer, but that wasn't what he studied at university, and he wishes he had known a bit more about the costs involved.
Whenever I was at school, I don't feel that tuition fees and the cost of uni was something that was ever really stressed by, whether it was teachers, people that come in and give talks in schools. It was always the last thing mentioned, and you didn't really feel the gravity of the debt you were getting yourself into.
The majority of students here take loans to cover tuition fees of almost £5,000 a year, more if they move across the Irish Sea to study, and another loan for living costs, which can go up to around £8,500 a year, more if they study in London.
That can add up to a lot of debt. But students don't start repaying back those loans until they're in work, and here in Northern Ireland, until they're earning almost £27,000 a year. It's a point put succinctly by the financial expert Martin Lewis.
One of the big misunderstandings about student loans is that what you borrow does not affect what you repay each year. That depends solely on how much you earn.
In its submission to Westminster's Treasury Committee, Ulster University effectively made the same point, saying that it's unhelpful and unrealistic to suggest that higher tuition fees would mean students paying more money back, and that most graduates would face no additional payments if tuition fees rose. Michael Doherty, meanwhile, can see both sides.
Is a small enough portion that gets taken out. It sort of feels like another tax, like it's just something that comes off your pay slip or comes off your tax return, and at the end of the day it doesn't feel like a massive deal, but it also is still money that you're going to have to pay out for the rest of your life, because most people probably aren't going to be able to pay all of that back very quickly.
Universities here have said that to improve their finances, tuition fees paid by students should go up. But that isn't an argument selling well to decision makers at Stormont. Robbie Meredith, BBC Newsline.
Now, visitor figures for the Derry City and Strabane District Council area last year are said to have been the best since records began more than 30 years ago. The council says it now hopes to build on that success and create more jobs in hospitality and the tourism sector in the years ahead. It's mapped out a new tourism action plan which will run until 2031. Here's our Northwest reporter, Kieran Turish.
Ci troviamo adesso davanti alla Guildhall, il comune qui di Derry, Londonderry.
This group of tourists from Italy are on their first ever visit to the city, and so far they've been impressed.
We are happy to be here because it's cooler than Italy. Not today. Today is very sunny. It's funny for us, but yes, it's a very nice place.
We came here to Derry, Londonderry, because it's very, very famous for what happens in the past and also the medieval connections.
Derry City and Strabane District Council celebrated a landmark year in 2025, generating £94 million in tourism. Overnight visitor numbers rose by 35% compared with the previous year. The figures are the best for more than 30 years since records began.
We can see that by the investment in the tourism industry, by our accommodation sector, the new hotels that have come into the city, the new visitor experiences that have been developed in our restaurants, our bars developments. All of that has added to this and worked for us in 2025. And I suppose that ties in with the rail journey's been at record levels. We've seen an increase at the City of Derry Airport. We've seen investment in the university and growth of students to the city. And all of that is sort of positive
tailwinds and all worked in 2025 to give us that record year.
I'll probably roll it over. People are coming for many different reasons, not least the continuing popularity of the Channel 4 hit series Derry Girls.
We came to Derry today because my daughter loves the Derry Girls, so we've been in and we've seen the little exhibition, and now we're having a walk around the city walls and enjoying the sunshine.
We're from Cork and I'd never been to Derry before, so we just decided we'd come and explore.
Yeah, and I've been to Derry a few years ago, so it'd be great to come back. It's always a lovely city.
The council now hopes to build on the success of 2025. Summer festivals continuing to bring in huge numbers this year, and there's more to come.
I mean, you look at our festivals, our Maritime Festival, we had 140,000 visitors visit during last weekend. We have Halloween 40 coming up. So in between the work that the council's doing and the work that Visit Derry, TNI, Tourism Ireland and Fulcha Ireland are doing here, it is having a massive impact in the area.
The council also says that more people are staying longer and spending more, a timely boost for the local economy.
It's been good so far. We're from New Zealand and we're just working our way right around Ireland.
So I'm a farmer back in New Zealand and I've enjoyed looking around the Irish countryside and what you do here is great.
Will you be buying a few sheep and cattle to take back?
No, I don't think so.
This place and the country, the sun of the people. So beautiful.
The council is currently developing a tourist action plan to run from this year until 2031. It's hoping to use these latest figures as a strong foundation for more ambitious targets around visitor spending, persuading people to stay longer and generating more jobs in the tourism sector. Kieran Turish, BBC Newsline, Derry.
Well, when most of us go to the beach, we're well used to taking pictures of the scenery. But people visiting Torella Beach in County Down are now being invited to become citizen scientists by taking pictures to help track how our coastline is changing. All they'll need to get involved with this global project is their smartphone, as our agriculture and environment correspondent Louise Cullen reports.
This steel rectangle on top of a weathered post connects Torella Beach to a global network.
So CoastNap is a way for us to collect some data to understand how the shoreline and the beach are changing. Why do we have algae standing here? Why sometimes you can see the vegetation progressing? Why do you come in the winter and the beach is so different?
Answering those questions is where people can get involved.
So we are looking at this stretch of coastline. We are interested on the beach, what we call the upper part of the beach. To do this, we're using this cradle. So to use the CoastNap, you only need a phone. It can be any phone that can take a photo. You take your phone, you put it in the cradle here. There's the zoom. Take a photo. Easy peasy. And then you use the QR code just here. That will send you straight to the platform.
CoastSnap is a global project that began almost 10 years ago in Australia and has spread across 5 continents. In a changing climate, that's a resource for scientists.
The thing is, nowadays, we know there will be big changes in terms of sea level rise, changes in the frequency of storms. And if we want to understand how it's going to happen and what's going to happen on the coast, we need to understand what is happening now and how it works.
Volunteers have already been taking action to protect these vulnerable sand dunes, but the more information, the better.
If we can collect a lot of photos at different time of day, at different seasons, then we can understand how it evolves at different periods of time. It doesn't matter if you come here every day or if you're here once in a while, but all those information that we can collect are so important for us.
So there'll be more of these to come. Louise Cullen, BBC Newsline on Torella Beach.
Sport now, and Rory McIlroy returned to action today, competing at the Scottish Open, which is being held at the Renaissance Club in North Berwick. And in a useful warm-up for next week's Open Championship at Royal Birkdale, the world number 2 from Hollywood had a strong first round. He finished 5 under par with a round of 65, and that was good enough for joint second place, alongside 3 others, 1 shot off the lead tonight. Linfield have been in action this evening in the first leg of their Europa Conference League tie against the Estonian side, Moygashel. The first half of the match was scoreless, but Linfield then conceded just after half-time from a corner. And the game has just finished in the last few minutes with the full-time score of 1-0 to the Estonians. The second leg is in Belfast a week today. To the weather now, and it was another glorious day today. We could get used to this, Barra.
Yeah, but there were different fortunes today. Some of us not so lucky with the sunshine or the heat, in fact. This was the scene earlier today along the north coast. Lots of cloud here, and it lingered for quite a few places for most of the day. But meanwhile, in Belfast, the sun did come out, and it was in South Down today where we hit 27 degrees, so well above average for the time of year. It's going to be a warm evening then for some, and temperatures only really slowly falling to about 14 or 15 degrees by morning. Small risk of the odd isolated shower towards the north and the west as well. So it's going to be a mild and dry and sunny start to the day for many of us, and plenty of warm sunshine coming and going. Again, we are likely to see a little bit of cloud maybe lingering towards parts of the north and northwest. Sunnier skies elsewhere. If you're travelling tomorrow from the Midlands southwards, a weather warning has been issued from Med Éireann here, as temperatures are expected to climb close to 30 degrees, so some hot conditions here. Northern Ireland, we're expecting maybe 26 degrees in a few spots. It will be cooler along the north coast, so if you're looking for a little bit of an escape away from that heat, we're looking at 18 or 19 for the likes of Portrush, the highest temperatures further south. So for some of us tomorrow, it's going to be another warm end to the day, staying dry again overnight into Saturday. There could be a little bit of drizzly weather first thing, but not amounting to very much as temperatures fall to 13 or 14 degrees. Saturday itself, we're expecting a little bit more cloud around at times for Northern Ireland. It should break the sunnier weather again further south, but it's still going to be warm nevertheless, as those temperatures again climb into the low to the mid-20s. So we are expecting quite a bit of cloud, a bit of an onshore breeze again for the north coast, making it feel cooler here. Those higher temperatures further south, maybe around 24 degrees in a few spots. Then the heat, it's just going to continue. It stays with us all weekend and pretty much through all of next week. Little to no rain in the forecast, lots of dry, sunny weather, temperatures well above average by day, with some warm and perhaps uncomfortable nights as well.
Thanks, Farah. That's it for now. Our late news is at 10:30. Until then, you can keep up to date with BBC News NI website and with Radio Ulster. Have a nice evening.